Lunch is ready. Florence had quickly whipped up a lavish meal, and every dish looked sumptuous. Dustin had been prepared to make an excuse and slip away but was stopped by Dahlia. In the end, he had no choice but to stay for the meal with Rufus. It was the first time the father and son pair had had a meal together at the same table. As they ate, Rufus' eyes gradually welled up with tears. It felt like it had been a lifetime for him, but the day finally came when he could sit down and have a meal with his son. He had yet to receive his son's forgiveness, but what he had now was good enough. He was already very satisfied. Of course, many people out there would never believe that the ruthless and formidable Prince of Thiswe would get teary-eyed over a meal. Once he had his fill, Rufus tactfully took his leave. He knew that if he stayed on any longer, his son would most likely lose his temper. Rufus left the Nicholson villa with a spring in his step. "How did things go, sir?" When he got into the car, Albert, who sat in the passenger seat, asked inquisitively. "Ha ha ha. I had a meal with my son today." Rufus laughed heartily. Anyone could see that he was pleased. The driver found it strange that he'd be so glad because of a meal. "So you had a meal with your son, what's the big deal? Does it really warrant such joy from you? You're the Prince of Thiswe. Where'd your dignity go?" He thought to himself. "Congratulations, sir. That's one step closer to success." Albert smiled. He was the only one who knew how much it meant to Rufus to have a meal with his son. Even winning 10 cities was nowhere near as important as that. "We're indeed off to a good start, but knowing that rascal, it'll be difficult to make much progress." At the thought of that, Rufus was once again troubled. "Take it slow, sir. I believe that one day, Mr. Logan will find it in him to forgive you," Albert consoled him. "I sure hope so." Rufus sighed before he continued. "Oh, before I forget, is my daughter-in-law related to the Nicholson family of Glenstead?" "Yes, according to my investigations, she is from the prestigious Nicholson family of Glenstead." Albert nodded. "Very well, give that fellow what's his name?" "Reggie. Regulus Nicholson." "Ah, right, give Regulus a call. Have him take good care of my daughter-in-law, but make sure that he isn't exposed." "I wouldn't want to frighten her," Rufus said after some consideration. Gaining his son's forgiveness would be a challenge, but he could get his daughter-in-law on his side first. That would make things much easier for him. "Rest assured, sir. I know what to do." Albert nodded. "Great. Let's go visit the drunken maniac at Peaceful Medical Center. It's been a long time. You old buddies should catch up." Back at the Nicholson villa, Dustin watched emotionlessly as Rufus' car drove off. He knew perfectly well that what happened back then had nothing to do with Rufus, but he still could not forgive him. He was but a mere mortal. He wasn't above his emotions. All his life, he had known that kindness should be repaid with kindness and that revenge must be sought for any wrongs. He would willingly go against the world for his family and loved ones. It was different for Rufus, however. As a person of status, his priority was always what benefited him, and his gains and losses. Outsiders might think that Rufus did nothing wrong, but to Dustin, his one mistake was that he did absolutely nothing at all. "Why are you spacing out?" Dahlia picked up a cup of hot tea and walked over to Dustin to pass it to him. "Nothing." Dustin smiled and took a sip of tea. "Didn't you tell me that both your parents had passed away? Who was this father of yours today?" Dahlia found things puzzling. "He's as good as dead to me," Dustin stated calmly. "I guess there must be some sort of major conflict going on between you. Can I ask what it is about?" Dahlia tried to make sense of the situation.